All right. We got another phone call about today.
Are you serious?
It's 4:01. Absence of the chair. I'll call the meeting to order as vice chair. And ask the clerk to take our roll.
McKee,
Here.
Welty. Here. Thompson. Here. Turk.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Cooey. McGuire. You have 5 for a quorum, sir.
Are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
We are.
Before us, we have a 15-point agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Welty, Shabeechik, and second by McKee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And there were minutes from the April 9th, 2026 meeting distributed. Anybody have any corrections, additions that need to be made to those minutes? Hearing none, Chair will declare those minutes to be approved as presented. Item 6, public comment. Do we have any members of the public here to comment to the Public Works Committee? Anyone here in person or online?
I'm here that we have them.
Okay. And hearing none, we will move on to item 7, which is reports. Starting with the property management report and departmental activities.
Okay, I've got a few things just to touch base on. I don't know if any of you noticed, they've started the AC project out here with the big units. They've got them installed or set on the pad. They are in process of doing all the piping and all that stuff right now. And then hopefully next week, the electricians will be here and to do all that stuff, get it all fired or not fired up, but then they'll do their liquids and glycol and all the other stuff the week after that, hopefully. Plan is to be done by the end of the month. So about another week and a half, 2 weeks. All the concrete projects that we had going around the courthouse, we had the pad board for that. We had sidewalk replaced over here. We had sidewalk and curb replaced over there for the 2 ladies that have fallen in the past 6 months over there. So that's all been taken care of and done. Let's see, all the trees on the Ash Creek trails and the campus trails have all been cleaned up. We've got those all taken care of, so all the trails are now completely open. So if anybody calls about more trees down, then that means they're coming down after we left. So, we had a request from Dion Puzan. He owns a business right down by, on 14 in Lone Rock. It's a golf cart, some kind of a golf cart business or whatever. But anyway, he was asking for permission for disabled people to use the Pine River Trail with electric golf carts. He would rent them out to them. Josh and Trish had researched the ordinance, and according to our ordinance, go ahead, I'll let you speak since you researched it. So.
Okay, so the ordinances that we found on this subject is ordinance number 9622 and ordinance number 9721 amended. We looked at it as, is it a motorized unit? Is it not, is it allowed on the trail? So we actually found that underneath permitted uses, section 2, paragraph B, except for provided in paragraph D and herein, only the following motor propelled vehicles may be operated on the trail: snowmobiles, law enforcement, emergency vehicles, electric motor powered vehicles transporting an elderly, disabled, handicapped, or infirm person, and authorized inspection and maintenance vehicles. And then there's a bunch more about what you can and cannot do on the trail. But basically, underneath the ordinance, there is no permit that is required as long as a handicapped or disabled person, they can be on that trail with a golf cart, no questions asked.
So with that, I'm going to respond back to this gentleman because he had a couple people that were interested on using the trail that were disabled in an electric golf cart, no gas motor, just electric. So I will respond back to him. Next thing is we're gonna be spraying the Pine River Trail, hopefully next week. We're gonna take 2 days and spray all the grass and all the stuff on the trail, not off the trail. We have people that complain and say we're spraying off the trail, which we're not. So the plan is to spray that next week. And then 2 weeks after that, when I get back from vacation, then I'm gonna go back through and we're going to basically blade and level out anything that's rough, so on and so forth, all the way to Lone Rock. We'll take care of that, blade it and pack it and make sure that's all taken care of. Get any ruts from any of the bicycles or anything else that's been on the trail. So that'll be done in the second week of June.
Which would be a large purpose for the spraying because the vegetation likes to grow up through the middle of the trail and makes it impossible to take care of. So you have to kill that vegetation off first so you can come back and actually properly maintain.
And then, last thing I got is we've replaced all of the small AC units outside of the courthouse for the server rooms. There's 2 down right below you down there. There's 1 over there. There's 1 over here. So every one of the small AC units for little rooms within the building, other than our big AC units, have been completely replaced now. So we are now caught up on all of the AC units. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Questions for Randy? Hearing none, we'll move on to item B. Highway Commissioner Administrative Report, Departmental Activities and Review of Monthly Bills.
Okay, so we don't really do much with the review of monthly bills. We look at, now, so we'll probably eventually change that language a little bit, but we do look at the financial aspect, like where we currently stand. Unfortunately, by the time we got our stuff settled out with Tyler, between Tyler and our new road system, now we've moved into audit. So with the auditors there, we're having corrections made. So we're getting there before we have a very clear picture that I can share. That's on the financial aspect. Normal issues that we're looking at is, first off, we're starting to prep for next year for the County Road 00 project. The first thing that we're looking at is at the far south end by Fraser's property. There's a pretty significant corridor there that we had re-engineered, redesigned, and we're looking to address some of the right-of-way issues that are there. One of the big concerns is the amount of trees that are literally just a couple feet off the edge of the blacktop. They're giant cottonwoods. So we hired on a professional negotiator, a third party between us and her, to be able to work on that, the TLE through there. That'll last us a couple years so we can take care of any drainage and ditching issues. But, you know, trees are a very touchy subject with her. She really likes those trees, but for us, they're a major concern right off the edge of the blacktop. They've been there for, I don't know how many, probably generations, but now that we're actually coming through to fix that road and redo it, that's the time we're going to address it. So we ourselves are working through a third party to work with her, a professional that has the best experience to handle this. So, you know, just working through that process to try to appease her and also get the road done at the same time. Now, understand that the trees are in the right of way. We don't have to do any of this. We're doing it for the best relations because trees hit us on Mount Park with people. So probably more to come on that as we proceed, but that project will go next year and there is state funding for that. We do have that in a project.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If I may. What kind of terms would we be willing to negotiate on in a
Typically-
situation like that?
Typically, there wouldn't be any financial gain off of that for her because those trees exist in the right of way. She's not allowed compensation for them because they fall 100% within the right of way. If they were on the border of the right of way, then we'd have to look at addressing it because part of the trees would be on private property. But at this point, it's just, you know, the trees got to come down. She is asking, like, maybe we meet her halfway and say, we'll come back and plant some trees off the right of way for her, like 20 plus pine trees. I think that's what she's proposing. We're considering it, but we're not apt to do that because that would show a monetary value and possibly set a precedence down the road. So we have strict guidelines. We follow their laws. We're just trying to keep her as happy as we can and get the road project done.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next week, Monday, I've been selected to be on a panel of about 3 to 5 people for the Transportation Development Association. It is going to take place at the Radisson. About 7:30 in the morning, breakfast starts, and then the panelists will have a chance. We'll be speaking on road projects or individual things that we faced in the county. And the big thing around this is we're really trying to go after the fact that we need a sustainable funding source. A lot of the road projects, a lot of housing, whatever, it's you're making a quick hit for a little bit of funding, but then you're years before you get something else. So we're really going on the point of a road project that we had a lot of experience with that really created a lot of issues, things to get over, but also identifying the need for sustainable funding, but not pointing the blame at anybody. It's just simply somebody speaking on the fact that everybody's in the same boat. How do we get past this? How does everybody work together? Trish will be going up there with me as a county administrator, so if anybody has time, they want to come up there, it roughly kicks off about 7:30 in the morning, and the speaking will start about 7:45. And it's probably gonna last about 2 hours or so. Any questions on that before I continue? Does everybody know who the TDA is?
You said Brazen where?
Lacrosse.
Lacrosse, okay.
Yep. So TDA, everybody?
Could you just explain a little bit about it, please?
So everybody knows who the WCA is. Then there's the WCHA, which is Wisconsin County Highways Association. The TDA is Transportation Development Association, and they are, you could put them in a category like lobbyists. They work on behalf of the WCHA with the state government into the federal government as trying to work out initiatives of how we can get sustainable funding and a lot of things. Like we go out there usually to Washington DC once a year on behalf of the TDA, and that's when we meet senators on their home turf, and it's really identifying, the need to reauthorize the STP rural program and then whatever else we can do for funding.
Thank you.
Scale, we have a scale at the highway shop, and that we've had it there since the facility opened. It's how we scale out all of our loads, track it, all of the materials coming and going from that facility. We did run into some issues. It's getting older. There's 2 access man covers on there because it's flush with the ground. It's a large slab of concrete, but it's suspended on metal braces, and that's how it calibrates. It's basically just loosely sitting there. There's 2 access manholes on that scale that you gain access to a lower level to actually do it, proper inspections, which is done always once a year by Badger scale, and then it gets inspected by the state of Wisconsin DATCAP. Unfortunately, when DATCAP came out to do the inspection, they did an offset test. And that means they're gonna run the tires of a large weight box right over top of those manholes. The manhole didn't hold up. That little motorized unit kind of fell in a little bit. Not a big deal, no issues, other than we need to address it. We did bring the Badger scale to see the extent of the damage, how much rot there is. We believe we can fix this one at a pretty low cost using in-house local forces. So we're gonna cut that bad area out, reinforce some concrete, and we should be good to go. We did look at, if it fails, how much is a new scale going to run us if we end up in that boat, which will come eventually, 10 to 12,000. So it's not bad for operation. So that'll be back up and running before too long. We are working with the state as well, because we have 3 salt sheds around the county. We have one in Gotham, one in Cazenovia, and then the big one right here at the Richland Center facility. That one at Richland Center is starting to deteriorate a little bit. The state has stand there with their hand out. Hey, do you need one? So we said, yeah, we can take a new one if you'd be willing to do it. We have the land on site to build one. The state pretty much funds it. So we are looking at a new scale house, or not a new scale, a new salt shed between 5,000 to 6,000 pound capacity. It'll most likely be a hoop style design similar to what we put in the lower lot, but probably heavy duty concrete bunker walls that are probably gonna be between 10 and 12 inches thick. We're thinking probably 13, 14-foot walls with a hoop style roof over top of it. So we're just starting into that discussion. It'll probably be a couple years before we see it actually come to fruition, but we're working on that. And then the old salt shed, that stays, and then the county takes that building over its entirety. So it gives us some more storage. We can actually separate our salt from the state salt. So it does make things a little bit better there for us. Standard operational coming out of the winter months, all the equipment was stripped of its snow plowing equipment and then properly cleaned and stored for the year. So when we do that, we wash all the equipment and we wait for it to dry, and then we spray it down with a salt neutralizer, which is like a black coating that protects it from moisture and kind of stops that salt from activating and continue to tear apart the equipment. So that's been done. Otherwise, on the roads, the county and the state have both been trying to do some crack filling coming out of the bad winter months and all the cracks that seem to like to show up then. Shoulder repair, we've been doing some sloping projects, especially on County Road N. Tree cleanup from the bad storms, and then we're planting some new trees that get damaged from mowing operations, pine trees hiding and stuff in the weeds. So we've been doing that, and then washing bridges and then cleaning some ditches. So that's the main operational in a nutshell, Mr. Chair.
Cameras.
Cameras. Thank you. So, the other night, executive finance, it was voted to take a resolution forward to fund cameras. And I think it's great that you guys were so willing to work with me to get cameras. But I also take a stance of, you know, the number of cameras that we install, we have to be able to afford that too. So before we just say, let's do all the county equipment, I think a step back needs to be looked at of maybe we just stick with the essential, like the plow trucks and maybe the administrative vehicles, so we can save the cost. Another thing to think about, I know the county can do it without any issues, is we maybe give the employees time to get used to the idea. We did a small demo where we had cameras in the trucks as a demo for just one or two of them for a couple weeks, and boy, did the employees go crazy. They did not like the idea. They felt like their privacy was being infringed on and so on and so forth. We're not recording them. We're not recording their voices. We're just recording what happens outside of the vehicle. So I think, you know, introducing a good policy probably should be a good step of action first so we can address those issues. And before we initiate maybe into one contract with us and then maybe proceeding forward in like the next fiscal year, another contract on behalf of all the other departments, it might be worth holding off till the rest of the county's ready to proceed forward with it, and then doing one big contract versus everybody off doing their one-off thing. Does that?
Yeah, but I'm gonna back up for the people who aren't aware of any of this. So last month, at this meeting, the proposal was made to put cameras in all the plow trucks. Recommendation at that time was, let's take this to executive and look at it in a broader sense and look at all county vehicles. We took it to executive. Executive said, let's hold off on all county vehicles because we're not certain on ambulances, if cameras can be in the ambulances or not. And these are rear-facing cameras, not internal-facing cameras. And then made a motion to get cameras in the plow trucks immediately.
Yep, ASAP, which is great because that's the way it was kind of presented, like, I'm ready to move with this, I need your support. I think that support's great, but you know, just like what the possible HIPAA violation and how that's looked at, you gotta think about too, our plow trucks just have just as good a chance of rolling up on a nasty accident. We literally had a nasty accident this fall, and that camera would have caught a whole lot of stuff. So I think that's why it's worth taking a step back before we jump into throwing them all the trucks and maybe do it all in one shot versus everybody off doing things. Fair enough, say, Mrs. Administrator.
So there will be a resolution brought forth to full county board next week, but.
I'm going to
Josh.
basically give the same speech too. If you guys want to proceed forward with it, that's your prerogative, we'll do it. But I think some caution, this might be good.
Supervisor Wilk.
That was my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would it be feasible to move forward with installation and then have some kind of delayed activation plan?
You're not the installation of them are really simple. They literally just plug into the truck and then they just mount on the dash. So that's not a big deal.
Okay.
It basically what you're paying for is the subscriptions is what you're doing. You're basically getting all the equipment for a pretty discounted price and you're paying for a subscription is what you're doing. So it's just, that would be just flipping a switch.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So how do you see the next steps in working on a employee policy, or what are the next steps? Yeah.
This would be an administrator type question. I can speak on a little bit if you'd like.
Yeah.
I would say it should be addressed like properly, whether it's a HIPAA violation, if the cameras were to catch anything. I think it needs to be properly clarified that, you know, it's a county-owned vehicle. This is not about invading your personal space. You're in a county-owned vehicle. Past that, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's just things that employees can't tamper with the cameras, you know, those are the kind of things that we just need to put out there. Making sure they're aware of it, that when they get into the vehicles, there are these cameras, it's no audio recording. There are no HIPAA violations with the transportation that happens across the street through Health and Human Services. I did reach back out to the attorney after the meeting this week and said, hey, can you do a little more research on cameras on the outside of the ambulance? But I do know other ambulances have cameras. So I'm presuming we're gonna be okay, but we need our legal counsel to get us there. So.
We did run into that issue as well, where the first cameras that went in the trucks, actually, you know, they could become magically unplugged or magically covered up. So.
President Thompson.
You were talking about having them kind of get used to it for a little while type of thing. I was just gonna say, could you put them in there so that they're in there not working, but they're in there so they're kind of used to them being there a little bit?
You could, I think it's getting them used to the idea that they're going to be there, give them time to, maybe we're all missing something, maybe, okay, the county's gonna proceed forward with this is everything we came up with, and then somebody points something out that's major. And then we didn't think about that, might be, that's another reason to hold off maybe a little bit too.
Supervisor Wiltie.
In my working career, I went through a situation where we deployed cameras throughout the company fleet. And there were a lot of concerns that were raised, and it was lack of understanding and awareness of how they actually worked. And by showing the employees what the coverage is, what it sees in the camera, and having an opportunity to review it really increased the level of comfort. And there were many situations that you wouldn't believe that what the employee said the situation was that happened actually did happen. And it saved more jobs than it created employee issues. So it was very helpful.
Yeah.
Good counsel, go ahead.
I'm just gonna help out with the ambulance thing, because I do teach HIPAA and the requirements behind HIPAA. The cameras on the ambulances, you can see why they have them and not being such a HIPAA violation, because that information isn't going out to the public. It's being stored in-house. So the only ones that are gonna see it are the ones working and things like that. We're not releasing it out to the public, so it is gonna be in-house. So I guess in that aspect, I can't see how it would be a HIPAA violation to put it on there, because it's all gonna be stored in-house.
Yeah.
So.
And I talked with Justin Running, who owns Running Transports, that runs the cab company here, because they do a lot of medical transports, and they have this same company that Josh has been talking with, and he said it has saved them thousands and thousands of dollars. He said their yearly bill is, I think, $150,000 to have the cameras in their whole fleet, and he said it easily has saved them that plus way more. And they have theirs internally too. So he said, you know, when he gave an example, there was an accident and the passenger said, you know, I was flown forward and then I was flown back. The camera showed that didn't happen at all. So it's those kind of things. It's that liability piece. And I think like we talked about it, executive and finance, you know, and my husband drives plow trucks, so this happens all the time. They hit my mailbox, they hit this, they hit that. You know, this way we've got the cameras that show, yes, it did, or no, it didn't happen.
And
Oh.
just for the record, I'm in full support of push cameras.
Yes.
That's why I brought this forward to begin with. I think this is something the county really needs to proceed forward with. That's my personal opinion. However, do it cautiously.
And that's where our hope is, if we implemented it in 2027, then we could have time to create that policy, make sure all the employees know and understand where to go, what it all entails.
Have we had conversations with other highway departments that have them, or?
Yes, in fact, all the surrounding counties around us have, Vernon, Crawford, Sauk is a big one. And there's also data management with that too, truck fleet management. It tells you when there's codes on the truck. It tells you when the truck left the facility. It tells you where it's at. It shows everything. So everybody's taking advantage of this. The Samsara has become basically the industry standard, it sounds like, because they've been scarfing up this business left and right, and everybody's been happy with them so far. So the question is, oh, there are other businesses out there. There are, but they're not as prevalent as Samsara is and what they've been providing.
The questions on that topic? Questions at all for Josh? We'll move on to item C under reports, the radio tower project update.
There's not a lot to update, unless you want to give it.
What's that?
The radio tower update?
You do your monthly bill.
I guess I could give the radio tower update.
Things are going well. I mean, it's up and running, and the last thing is the subscribers. You know, the fire departments and getting their things reprogrammed, so.
Right now, I know they're working through like how all the radios are gonna be programmed and what channels are gonna be the top ones. They still have to do the final test when the foliage gets full, you know, towards the fall time. Even us at Highway, they have said that we are now functioning off 3 towers when before we were only on 1. We haven't taken time to properly test, like send somebody out to the far reaches of the county and try it. But we'd be surprised if we didn't see an improvement, but time will tell.
Did we have anything on bills we need to go back and cover?
Nothing on bills.
Any questions on the radio tower? And item number 8, discussion and possible action, volunteer opportunities for county parks.
Okay. Everybody takes a
Yeah.
seat. All right, so volunteers for county parks and could this would be wrapped in with 9 as well, since it's kind of all following the
Trail
same
maintenance
thing.
responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so volunteer opportunities for county parks, and it really strongly kind of goes around with item number 9. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about was the fact that they requested that I maybe sit down with Marty Richards. And that's folks around the tourism and see what they've been up to and see how that aligns with the county and what we can do, because obviously Randy and everybody can attest there's not much of a parks budget. I mean, there's not much there to cover all the needs that need to be done. So how do we work with the general public to do that? So this yesterday morning, I met with Marty about this subject. He's glad we sat down and talked, and right now he is just finishing up primary focus on the Pine River, because that's the big tourism point. So by doing that, they eventually got themselves set up as a 501(c)(3). They're establishing a couple of good guys that they're working with. They have a lot of experience with equipment and stuff to start doing a lot of this maintenance. And where he would like to focus his efforts and building a volunteer group that would also generate into, donation money to help fund some of this stuff is the Pine River Bike Trail. That's where he wants to put his focus at next. And primarily focusing around the infrastructure of that, which would be the bridges. Normally when it came to the bridges, it would be done underneath either a snowmobile maintenance grant, or it would be done through like a recreational type grant. Most recently, we did apply for those bridges underneath the snowmobile and were denied, but there is a lot of decking that needs to be replaced. So that's where he's going to be putting his efforts into building a volunteer base. Donation dollars is on that trail. So that takes care of the meeting with Marty. And then the trail maintenance responsibility. Now going back through all the research, when the Pine River Bike Trail, which has been done something underneath the rails trails, it falls back to local municipality as far as the responsible party for the maintenance of that, which is what Parks Commission took on. So however, they've scraped together the money in the past, however, that's who's been doing the maintenance. Then it gets into the question of the surrounding landowners cutting down the trees, taking care of their property. The landowners that are doing so, the one in question, they have easements. They're granted by the county, they exist. And within those easements, it gives the landowner the right to come in and clear whatever trees literally lie on his own property, even if it's in the right of way of the Pine River Bike Trail. If it's deemed as a hindrance to him in any way, shape, or form, and it could be liability back onto the county, he has the right to come in and remove whatever trees he wants to remove, or she, or whatever landowner it is, as long as the trail does not get destroyed, to which that responsible party would have to clean up the trail. And in the last instance, they did. They cleaned up the trail looks great. There's just some more trees gone, which also kind of falls in line with the past practice of we need to go in and clear as many trees as we can because the foliage is getting too much. So I have noticed, like, clear the trees, get them gone. And I've also noticed protect the trees. So we're finding that balance. So we're trying to be creative on how we proceed forward with funding the maintenance of the trail. It is on the county, the parks, to do that. But the landowners do have the right to maintain their own property. And that's what we found so far. Am I missing anything?
I think the other thing that Mike sent an email today that said we could work to make our trails state trails. It doesn't necessarily bring us any more revenue for just maintaining or having the trails, but it could bring in more tourism because then they show up on maps. It might help to bring other grants in the future. So if that's something that the committee is interested in, that's something we can do a little bit more research on and bring something back next month.
But there would have to be more funding by the county though to upkeep them, right?
I don't think so.
No, there would be no more funding. It would just be part of a larger picture, but the volunteer basis would be the same.
We're not obligating ourselves to a higher degree.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. If
For state trails?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they have a higher standard in a state trail versus public, our public.
That's what I'm saying though, is the county gonna be responsible for more maintenance and more fees to keep them up if it's a state trail?
So maintenance maybe, and I guess that's something Mike can look into, or if he knows the answer to that. I don't know how off our trails are versus state trails.
Yeah, standards really, they do have to be, maintained to, either the state standard or exceed the state standard. Generally, state trails are recommended at least 10 feet wide, for example, but that's not a requirement. Be that width. I don't think that, that you're maintaining them less than state standards right now, as far as I know.
I would question the width on some places.
Right, cause that's probably where they're gonna.
But a lot of that comes from the lack of funding for adding that material and maintaining that width. If you didn't have the material, the vegetation and stuff grows in and narrows out the trail.
So some of the width too, I mean, you just talked about golf carts, so that's gonna be an issue even without a state trail.
Yeah.
Especially if you have two golf carts.
Golf carts and bicycles on the same trail as.
Yeah, if you have a golf cart on the bridge and someone else is walking on the bridge, so that's gonna bring them some stuff.
I think the other thing that I consulted with Corporation Council on, and if we have volunteers working in our parks or trails, we need them to sign waivers that say they don't hold the county liable if something happens.
I mean, it's an avenue to look into. And then you just weigh it, it's how much it's gonna cost us to bring it up to state standards. Once it's there, then I agree with Mike that we're probably already meeting most state standards on our trail.
And you do have, so then you'd also be, so there's Friends of the State Parks, and they also raise money and do volunteering in state parks and state trails. So as a state trail, you'd fall under the Friends of the State Parks as well. You'd be able to fall under the state parks as well. So, they could bring in some volunteers, they could bring in some additional donation dollars that could help as well.
Presently, we don't have any state park or state trail in our county.
Now, Marty also believes that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's true. And we do have some good areas though, like the lower Wisconsin Riverway, that there's a lot of DNR properties here that the DNR would be very interested in seeing some access of.
Marty does believe that there may be an untapped funding stream as far as like some trail passes. Now, I know the Pine River Bike Trail has a clause in there about not paying a fee for a pass, but with all the other park trails that exist within the county, there could be potential there to get some funding dollars back. Of course, everybody understands there's no really way to enforce that, but, advertise the best you can, try to educate the best you can, go from there.
We're gonna send our highway commissioner out to do spot checks on the trail for.
We've done it.
With the picnic.
Been there, done it.
I've already been on it twice this year with my truck, so checking things out, so.
And the last thing note on the bridge, again, going back to the grant thing. Yes, there's grants out there and yes, we try to be aggressive and go after them, but there's also a cost share. To get that money back, you have to spend it all up front. So I mean, this is still a budgeting issue that you're gonna, just because you say, oh, we'll go after grants or something, just everybody please remember that's a cost share. We have to be smart about just getting a grant.
Anything further on volunteering or trail maintenance? So like we have any action we need to take right now? So we move on to item 10, discussion and possible action, resolution relating to use and classification of county parks.
Okay. So the classification, that was back to the whole camping issue, and that was another thing that we talked to Marty Richards on, and like I previously said, focusing on the camping aspect at the parks is not really tourism's priority right now. He wants to focus in on the Pine River Bike Trail. However, I know that there's more discussion to be had about liabilities and stuff with camping at the parks. But if the county wants to proceed with allowing it, people don't want to see it be taken away. And it may just go down to something as simple as, which Randy and I already looked at, is kind of setting up some more standards at those parks to protect everybody's walking paths, allow the camping, but make it really easy where it's just like a metal pipe, you put an envelope in, similar to using a boat landing. And then Marty said he is willing to proceed forward with doing some more video education, especially with what we see as far as squatters and garbage at the parks, taking some time to do those Facebook videos that he produces to train and educate people, putting proper signage in place that is appealing to the general public and gives them direction on how to utilize that park. So I think more is to come on that item number 10, but that's what I can give you right now.
The other thing is I did consult with the county attorney and said, if you're going to have camping and you're not really monitoring the camping, there is some liability in the county. He couldn't come to the meeting tonight, but said if you want him to come at a future meeting to talk more about that, he's willing to do that.
Questions from the committee? Move on to item 11, discussion and possible action, Ash Creek parking lot repairs.
Okay. So at the last meeting was brought up that the upper parking lot, which is off Paul's Hill, right?
No.
Hillview. That had seen a massive amount of water damage to it because it was never designed to allow a lot of water flow to come down that little bit of a knoll there, so it washed the majority of that parking lot out. Randy and I did go up there, we took a look at it, we were hoping that maybe we could do something simple as putting some recycled blacktop, packing it down, doing that. That's not an option. The parking lot needs to be designed to allow the water to flow through there. So, we had an estimate done. We anticipate putting an 18-inch culvert. That's gonna be about 40 feet long. That's gonna be right at the entrance to that parking lot. And then we'll have to add a bunch of material back to that parking lot and kind of build it so the water channels around and takes, some of the natural feature for the water flow through there. Of course, that does come with a price tag, however, $3,000 that has to be identified where that's gonna come from because highway doesn't have it in the budget, park doesn't have it, but, so in order to fix that parking lot, you know, the estimate comes in at $3,000 that has to be identified from somewhere to address this issue.
Yeah, we shut it down a month ago, put barricades and tape up there it's got a 3-foot trenches and all the way up through it, so.
Nobody should drive into that parking lot right now, let alone try to maybe even walk in there in low light
Yeah,
conditions.
Repair work is something your crews could be able to handle. And
We can do it in-house, yeah.
what are your thoughts? Supervisor Welke.
I did drive over there. It's not far from my home and I checked it out. And if we determine that we don't have funds available for it for this year, I really think we should gate it off or something. There is caution tape in front of it, but it doesn't really prevent anybody
No.
from going.
No, somebody could drive, they could drive right through if they want to.
All right in.
Yeah.
So, and if that was the case, where the funds couldn't be identified, we can haul concrete barricades. That can't be moved unless you have a big piece of equipment and place them across the entrance if that's what ends up happening.
Other thoughts from the committee?
Find the money.
County has a contingency.
A lot of horse people
Yeah,
use that up there, so.
Yeah.
As far as from what I've heard, they park their trailers.
Well, it's gonna have to be fixed if we do a timber sale anyway, so it needs to be fixed right. Stop getting closer to a timber sale up there.
And that's the nice part about Ash Creek is it's something that's really beneficial to the county and with tree sales, I mean, that creates some revenue right there off that property. A lot of people use that facility,
Yes.
even children education, schooling.
So the administrator, would contingency fund be a viable option for the $3,000?
We would have to take it to full county board, for their approval, or we could do it out of here and you're just gonna know that it's gonna be over budget. I do wanna just remind people that 6,000 was taken from this budget to covering.
And probably no matter what we do, we're gonna be over budget by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm looking at, porta potties and stuff throughout the county that we've got out there. We've cut back on those. And we're gonna be with electricity, with the parks, the porta potty rentals.
We have
And
to add
then,
more signage at the parks.
yeah, the fuel for all the mowing and stuff and just so on and so forth. We're gonna be like, by the end of, I mean, we only got 11,000 in there right now and, well, we just bought 800, we're spending $800 on chemicals to spray the trails. So we're gonna be down to zero before, August. So.
Supervisor Welke.
Are you able to project what the impact from rising fuel costs, what the impact that will have to your budget?
It's really hard to tell because, I mean, when you're mowing, what I'm doing now is with the fuel is I never split it up before. We never split it like fairgrounds. campus and parks. It was all, parks basically paid for it all. So what I'm doing now is now when we're buying fuel, I'm splitting it between these places. The campus is getting charged and then the fairgrounds is getting charged. And I'm splitting it between those because it's like parks shouldn't have to pay for all the fuel for all those places. So I'm splitting it up now. So we're saving a little bit on the park side as far as the fuel, but campus and fairgrounds are getting hit down with their portion. So, because those are the biggest places that we have to mow. So, with fuel, I mean, with it bouncing around, we're trying to, but you gotta still make it look nice, because if you don't, then you got that complaint. It's like, oh, that hasn't been mowed forever. No, it has been mowed. It's just, you get a lot of rain, the grass grows really fast, so. I mean, we're mowing every week and sometimes twice a week in these places, so. But
Action you want to take on the parking lot issue? Go ahead.
I would make a motion that we do find the funds for this, whether it's from contingency or somewhere else. I'm still learning about how that works.
Yeah.
So I think that parking lot does need to be repaired.
Probably would be best to specify a source and
Is there any money left over from the last timber sale? Are we able
I
to just
think
use that?
Kathy said that, I mean, that's basically, used to be that's what they used to pay for mowing. And now that we are mowing instead of, they used to hire it out. Simpsons for a while, then Randy they're,
right.
right, would, rent a tractor. Then we had Wanless for a few years, would come and mow, and so that money's pretty much gone, but. I mean, there's probably enough there to help out, and maybe on 2027 budget, and work, we still need to get the management plan down out there. Get a better estimate for him. Basically, we have walnut out there that can be harvested, but it came to the agreement of the full county board, basically previously, that let's get the management plan updated for the whole property. Then we can work that into planting, where some of that money can go towards maintenance, some of it can go towards planting more trees. There's areas that would grow really nice walnuts. There's crap trees growing now, but. And those of you that are new on the board, my goal has always been to get a hiking trail from Richland Center to there. And I'm working, haven't gotten there yet, but I have a lady that has done one in Boscoville and has wrote several $1 million grants. So I still speak with her.
So we could set it up that if we need to go, I mean, if you guys approve it today and it needs to be the contingency funds, if we can't find the funds elsewhere, I can then take it to executive finance and full county board. Otherwise, we'll see what we can do between.
you're okay with your motion, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a second. Second from Mr. McKee, that we work to identify funds and accomplish the repairs needed on that parking lot out there. A contingency fund if needed. Any further discussion on Supervisor Thompson?
Just while it's going on, is there any way of making it safer so that nobody falls into it or anything like that? I mean.
Not really.
Rather than
Really.
just take- Because I
Yeah.
really just take yours in.
Like the plastic snow fence or anything be?
Maybe like.
We have those single plank barricades up there?
I've got one barricade and then in the center of it, and then I've got tape from the barricade out to 2 trees. I mean, because I didn't have enough barricades at the time, so,
Right.
I mean, if somebody walks in there, like you said, if a turkey hunter parks out front and they just start walking in there in the dark, they're gonna trip and fall. I mean, you're not gonna stop it. There's just no way.
And even if-
It doesn't matter what you put up there, they're gonna go around it.
And we've had this in place for this
2
long.
months, almost 2 months
So
now.
if we can get the funds found, we can get it repaired post haste.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering how long is it gonna take to get the funds? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna
Well-
happen tomorrow, so.
Not tomorrow, but
It sure
it
would.
wouldn't take long to figure out if we have money anywhere else, and then if we
Okay.
don't, the contingency fund. It could go to county board this month and next month.
I think it's a better use of the funds to repair it than to barricade it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
not
The barricade, now you're talking a low boy truck, you can get semi manpower, just a barricade.
The point was made, you get that repaired, then that's where the timber gets hauled out of when they harvest it,
Yeah.
so it'll pay off in the long run.
Then I'll volunteer as a supervisor to watch. You could save that $50 an hour.
Yeah, a second to take this proposal to executive and finance. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Send that Proposal on to executive finance. Item 12, discussion and possible action approving a vendor to complete the engineering of Simon's Recreation Complex HVAC.
Expect something. All right, so you have a memo in your packet with the pricing on there. There is one correction on there. Venture Architects actually did come back to us and did tell us after this memo was out that it did include bidding and construction. So they all include the bidding and construction assistance. So you can see the prices there. Venture came in with the low bid, and they are about 8,000 or 9,000 below JDR. You guys are familiar, obviously, with Venture. They've done some work for the county. I know Trish has worked with them a lot, with Corey out there. JDR's qualified as well. They've got their information in your packet. They've done quite a few similar projects. And then SEH obviously was quite a bit higher there. So anyway, this would be, you can see with anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to up to 4 to 5 months with SEH to get the engineering done. And then that would get us out to get bids out, and we would be able to go out to bid later this year, and it would probably be in early next year when the HVAC would get in there by the time the system got in there. So.
And Venture included that extra service with their same price.
Yes, the bidding and the, yeah, it wasn't, I didn't see it in their proposal, so we'll want to make sure that's in the contract, obviously. So it wasn't written as complete that way, but they did send an email to Trish saying that, yes, that was included, so.
Mr. McKee.
Does the city pay a portion of that?
They do not, so this was one that we agreed to do because we're going to do the repairs through the campus grant, the 2 million grant. Otherwise, we would have tried to get the city to go halvesies, but because we have those grant funds, we're gonna be just taking care of that.
So those are the funds we'd be identifying for this.
Yes.
Other questions? So we'd be looking for a motion to send a recommendation.
Yeah, can I just add one more thing? Venture sent a second proposal. And it's in the packet. I had it added to the packet today to do the same thing for both the community services building and to Simon. So there would be some cost savings if we have both assessments done at the same time. That total is the 61,640. That would have to, could be approved by myself as long as you guys were comfortable with that. With the procurement policy, it falls within that. And we could use capital improvement funds because we did, in addition to having the grant cover the HVAC, we also, for capital improvement for this year, had budgeted HVAC repairs at Simons. We wouldn't be doing anything in the next year or two across the street, but at least we could get some ideas of where they're at. If they're already here, it kills 2 birds with 1 stone and saves some money.
Just to clarify, you said that for across the street, that is already budgeted in the 26 budget?
It's not Simon. So we technically have 700,000 budgeted for the HVAC at Simons. 450 through the $2 million grant and 250 through capital improvement.
But my question is, I think I heard you say that you have a second proposal to include the engineering for across the street.
Yes.
The Simons is part of the grant. The additional is not, and then you're saying it's not budgeted also?
It's currently not budgeted, but we have capital improvement funds that can be used because we're presuming, best numbers, it'll be about $500,000 to do Simons HVAC. So we would have 40,000 that we could use the capital improvement funds. And if you want, we could take that to executive and finance. If you guys approve doing both, we could take it to executive and finance and full county board for their approval to do both.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around, well, where's the money coming from to pay for the building across the street?
So we have 700,000 between the 2 funds to do Simon's HVAC. We're presuming it's going to be about 500,000. So we have that extra 200,000.
And part of that is the grant we're getting from the state for the Simons, the total $2 million. And then part of it is money we've already borrowed for capital improvements for this year.
Okay, all right. And we're anticipating that Simon's total project will be coming lower than what the total budget is? Is that where that, the additional?
Yeah, so we really only, we only expected it to be the 450,000 with inflation and everything. I'm bumping it up to 200. At the time that we created the capital improvement plan for this year, we only budgeted 250,000 for Simon's HVAC. Not necessarily knowing, and those were old numbers that were thrown out. As we were preparing to do the $2 million grant, we actually had somebody come out, give us a rough estimate, and that's where we got the 450,000. So we actually have two different funding sources right now that we could use so that we can complete the project.
There was a time when we weren't certain if we could include it in the campus grant or not, so we did get the permission to do that.
Need one motion?
Looking for a motion here.
Just a motion?
Motion to.
Whatever we talk.
Well, right now, motion. WCA at the meeting yesterday said it's great to do that. Would look at a motion here to do assessments on both Simon's and the community services building HVAC systems. And having Venture as the proposal, and the total cost was 61,000 something, you said?
Sorry, 88,560.
88,560. With money available from the campus redevelopment grant and from our already completed 2026 capital improvement borrowing.
So it's going from, well, I finished the motion, no, I said.
I saw him nodding, I'm assuming.
I said you're listening. All of that.
So anyway, is that a fair statement of your motion?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we look for a second.
I'll take it.
Second by Supervisor Williams. And now further discussion.
So the bid from Venture Architects is going from about 27,000 to 80-some thousand, so it's a significant jump, the building across the street.
Is everybody aware of the current system that's in place over there?
No, I just imagine it's
It's
the hodgepodge.
16 or 17 individual residential units kind of jury-rigged together and
Some on the roof, some inside.
Wow.
Yeah.
so exploring feasibility of putting in an actually engineered full system.
And then when the building was started as a grocery store, then they kept building on. And so there are sections that it's really, really hot, and then the next office is really cold. If you shut the door, it changes things. If you adjust the heat in this office, it changes things in offices five doors down. So it is really something that, since I've been here 4 years now, that it's been on the list of things we need to do. It's now time that we need to decide, is there a way we can do it more efficiently, that allows better airflow, or is this really the best?
So each office will have what, their own thermostat?
No, each office doesn't. I would say probably there's maybe 20. Yeah, is there 20 different thermostats across the building?
A thermostat for like 7 or 8 offices, and they just, it's all chopped up and.
Yeah. That building, they only remodeled half the building initially.
And then they added on, and added on, and.
Might actually be able to reduce your electricity expense if you have the.
Let's just think that would be possible.
So, okay.
Okay. All right, Tiffany, go ahead.
I completely agree it needs to be done. I guess when it comes to money, it always scares me because with construction projects, there's always the unforeseen stuff that could raise that cost up, you know, and if we're just, we're gonna assume that it's gonna cost us this much and we have this much and we're gonna be real close with it. There's always the can of worms that get opened up when you get into something like that. So that scares me a little bit. That might be pulling from somewhere or something with the budget. I mean, I totally agree it needs to be done. Hopefully it does help reduce costs and stuff in the future. It's just, it scares me with the whole, because of it being a hodgepodge, there's gonna be can of worms.
That probably speaks to the importance of doing the study,
Yes.
to figure out exactly what it is. And to be clear, this isn't to fix it, this is just to understand it, so.
And to give us a recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just engineering.
Yeah.
I
You
should
might
add
as
that,
well take it.
I should add that we did, discuss this with Focus on Energy. And because we did get in with them before, we actually hired a contractor. We are eligible for a 10% incentive additional on, we'll be going after incentives to Focus on Energy. So we'll get an additional 10% on whatever award that we will get from them, depending on the system that we do pick. So we are working with Focus on getting incentives for this, hopefully cutting those prices down.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before you can vote,
Yes.
before you vote, can I get a little clarification of what I have taken notes for the motion?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have, if it's not inappropriate, the motion is to complete assessments on the HHS and Simon's HVAC system using funds from
the campus redevelopment grant and from our 2026 capital improvement borrowing.
Sorry,
Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
thank you, sir.
Okay, anything else? By the way, WCA says this is a best practice. That's exactly the way to do it. Stop us and make sure you got it right. Thank you. All right, any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It's on to executive and finance. That brings us to item 13, future agenda items. Yes, Supervisor Thompson.
Possibly changing day and time,
I'm sorry?
possibly changing the day.
Day and time, okay. Certainly discuss that. Other future agenda items?
Tax deed parcels. I did talk to the treasurer, but, she said she's not ready.
Okay.
So, but I think this group needs to, we need to discuss it.
I have one also.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to understand or have a discussion around the MFL plan for Ash Creek. Is that something that we could discuss here?
MFL or the forestry plan, you mean?
The forestry plan.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna be run through natural resources, but I mean, it's parks, it's natural resources. Myself and another forester, we're gonna work with Todd, who's retired out of Richland Center.
Yeah.
We didn't get it done this spring. So we were gonna volunteer our time to help him put in plot. So I need to get a good number for him and then we'll put it in the 27. Another year or two on Walnut. They just keep going up.
And maybe it's not appropriate for this meeting, but I think understanding that asset and what opportunities might be available.
It's most people don't, and then even the acreage and how was it acquired, a history on it. Even if we could have Kathy come in and, or somebody that's got better knowledge on in history of that. Because most people don't even know we own it.
Yeah, and it may be appropriate for the full board at some point, because I know I think the intent is to discuss our assets and what our opportunities, revenue opportunities from our assets, and so I think it's an important one.
Because they used to do when my kids, Ithaca, Riverdale, Richland Center would come out in 5th and 6th graders. We had stations when I worked for the DNR.
I remember those stations.
And then the truck guys would come and they would shock the stream at lunchtime. The DNR used to take all the female trout out of that, take them down to the fish hatchery to get the eggs out and bring them back. But I don't know if I've been out of the DNR for 10 years.
The headwaters for that stream start on.
Good.
So yeah, we can put an update on the Ash Creek Forest on the next agenda. The committee better understand.
Maybe our county guys will have the work done by then.
You go on a field trip, go check out the.
So we gotta get them the money first.
They got, just get it done. Just get it done.
Any other future agenda items? Do we have any correspondence?
I have received
correspondence. That brings us to item 15. For a motion to adjourn, motion by McKee, second by Thompson. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
17 guys I heard wash.
I only have one horse now, so.
Did we got